What's happening?
Josh, it's always a lot more fun to correct mistakes and learn from wins than losses. You guys haven't had a lot of losses this year, but what was kind of like your main takeaway about, like the learning lesson as a first-year play caller from Monday night?
See, as much as anything, the patience and how the game started and how well the defense was playing and trying to stick to some of the things we wanted to hit going in, lean on the run a little bit earlier. And then a lot of the things we harped on going into the week of handling the crowd noise, not getting into some second and longs and the turnover battle where it was really the second game where we've had turnovers and now it's the second one we've lost. But just the patience, trusting in the guys that it's going to be there, and, again, trying to establish the run a little earlier and just keep rolling with that.
Josh, kind of talking about the run game, what led to kind of that deviation? Because there was only 11 carries compared to Baker Mayfield throwing 50 passes out there.
Yeah, that 50 throws in a game cannot happen. And it's got to be through leaning on the run, trusting the run, and sticking to that, especially in the first half, being able to establish it, because once you got into the fourth quarter and it was, 13, 14 minutes left, and it essentially turned into a 2-minute drill, then you're really forced to throw it. But if we can handle that earlier on and keep that thing closer, that way we can now turn the fourth quarter into having an opportunity to run some of them. I think it evens the game out a little bit.
I know you trust Rashad a lot in pass protection, and he's a good receiver too as well, but you probably don't want to come out of that game with that much of a workload on him. And just the disparity between Sean Tucker, obviously Bucky's out. How do you get Sean more involved in the game plan, if that's an option?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not something we want to do with Shad being in there for that amount of plays. It comes down to what you said on a lot of the pass protection things where he is so good in it, and it's in the 2-minute drill where he's in there. But to go back to the point about running the ball, the more we can run it and establish it earlier, you're going to create longer drives. And at that point, Shad would be out, Tuck would be in there to spell him, have fresh legs, be able to go pound it. But I think both those things go hand in hand by being able to run it. Then you split the carries up a little bit more with having more opportunities at it.
The Lions ran man coverage on a majority, or on over half of their, coverage plays against the pass, and it seems like that's the first time you maybe have seen that this year. What did that look do for you when you were calling the game, and do you expect maybe some other teams to try that going forward against this offense?
Yeah, they're really a man coverage team. They're committed to that. They do a really good job of it, trying to disrupt the line of scrimmage. They had a good plan, and they got away from it a little bit in the Kansas City game and played a little bit more zone, but the man coverage showed up on tape, and it is a copycat league. So when you see some of those looks, if people feel like they have success with that, we definitely have to have better options, get our guys open, be able to run away from man, to be able to ultimately convert those third downs and be able to continue the drives.
Josh, I know it starts with Detroit being a good defense, but third down, it was 4 for 16 on Monday. Baker had 2 nice throws to Tez, but I think he had 13 yards on 11 throws when he went to anyone else. Is there something they did to throw things off or get you guys away from success on third down?
Yeah, they did a good job with it in terms of the man coverage and their plan on it. And, again, really need to have some things that gets our guys in better spots to be able to run away from that, to have some more throws. And then there were some unfortunate ones, too, where we really got exactly what we wanted and we weren't able to connect. So in those opportunities, we really got to be able to exploit the defense on taking advantage of those man looks. That way, it might not discourage them from doing it the whole game, but they at least have to think about it if that's something they want to use moving forward.
This was really the first game where Baker was kind of off, right? Like he had a lot of high throws that were kind of uncharacteristic. We hadn't seen that, and I know that he was getting pressured, during the game. But when he comes to the sidelines, what are those conversations like, and how do you kind of approach him and try to settle him down to be a little bit more accurate on some of those throws?
I think part of it starts off, I got to give him a chance earlier in the game to get a little bit easier completions. That way he gets settled in. You get into the rhythm and the confidence of let's let this thing fly. And in the protection side of it, I think we did a good job at times. There's other times where he didn't have much of a pocket to step up into, and that's something we addressed on the sideline as well. But I think being able to start and get some of those easier completions, now you get into the rhythm of now we're in our standard pass game, still being able to push the ball down the field. But he was calm through all of it. Didn't start off as well as we had liked. Got to have a fast start, but he was good through the whole game. You saw him battle. He took some real shots out there, and that's not shocking from the guy.
Is it hard when you're using resources, for the guy to chip or the tight end to stay in it? Sometimes you got 3 on 7 out there. Can that be the math be difficult at times when you do that?
Yeah, when it comes to that, every week when we start the protection meetings, especially on third down, is that if there's not time to throw and there's not time to give Bake a good dish, then whatever routes we draw up are essentially for nothing. And so it starts with that. So there were definitely times with trying to protect the pocket and having not as many eligibles out. But at the end of the day, got to give these guys a better opportunity through some of the scheme, even if we are only getting those guys out, to be able to win versus man coverage and get open.
With the receivers down, are you fond? How fond are you, or how possible is it to use two backs? Where one can stay in, one can go out. Just like get your maybe a fifth best player out there that's explosive.
Yeah, we look at it really in each window and on the early downs on each week. Does that give us the best opportunity to be able to get into some of those packages with the two backs out there? It's something we really didn't lean on last week as much, but it's really on a week-to-week thing on how much or how little we want to use it, or if it doesn't give us an advantage in that game.
Josh, you kind of mentioned the pocket a little bit, and I wanted to get your thoughts on Michael Jordan, who he played on Monday night. He didn't play since week 2. How do you think he handled the transition going from left guard to right guard and just kind of holding his own?
Yeah, he battled in there. I know some plays that he wanted back, but him being able to fight through and be able to get back to be on the field for his guys and battle in terms, that's a really good defensive line. We said that going into it, especially getting Liam McNeil back. But, again, he had some wins and he had some losses in there, and just expecting it to improve and him to get healthier.
You mentioned Liam McNeil, and Graham is a good up-and-coming center, but Liam McNeil is a force. He's kind of like their Vita Vea, if you will. When you have a guy that just drives the center back on a couple plays, what does that do to the pocket, to any hope of trying to run the ball? Just how disruptive is that? You see it every day out here with Vita, but when you're having to game plan against that and that's happening, what does that do for you as a play caller?
Yeah, that goes to the game plan side of it on the Mondays or Tuesdays when you're looking at the game records, we call them, where you're looking at the Hutchinsons and the McNeils and how are we going to handle those guys. And that's part of it, being able to put the hands on Hutchinson. That way he can't rush the pocket, or if we are running it, trying to get as many hands and as many guys on McNeil to handle him, because he is a force. He's a hell of a player. I thought he did a really good job on his rehab and coming back, and he was definitely a force to be reckoned with in there.
How encouraging was it for you to see Tez again take a step forward, a great catch and run he made, continuing to make progress?
It's great to see, because he just continues to improve each week. He is electric with the ball in his hands, had some big plays. His ability to keep running, I mean, it was not fun being in the 2-minute drill for that long, but he was out there battling and wanting the ball. And there's some rookie mistakes he's got to clean up, but he's in a really good spot, and he comes out here and brings energy, and he's deserving of the ball.
Josh, you seem really calm and cool with your demeanor and all this, but I mean, you've been dealing with some significant injuries on offense from week 1, not having Chris and Tristan, and now with Mike being out the rest of the season. I know it's the next man up, and no one's going to cry for you, right? I mean, that's just part of the business. But does it feel like all these body blows are kind of taking a toll a little bit on the offense?
I think everybody's banged up. I mean, we're dealing with injuries, but I don't want this to sound bad towards the guys that are not in there on Mike and Chris and those guys. But I think as a staff, we find enjoyment in the guys that are now having a chance to play, the Tezes, the Cams, who have worked their whole life to get that opportunity, and who knows when that opportunity is going to come again. So getting those guys prepared as well as possible to go out there and make plays, because at the end of the day, that's their shot too, and they've worked really hard to get to the league and deserve the ball, and that's on us to try to put them in that position, and I find a lot of enjoyment in that.
And it helps with their career development too. Like if they're not playing this year, they're not going to be as ready to play for you next year, right? But if they are playing this year, then they're that further ahead as their continued career goes with the Buccaneers, right?
Absolutely. Anytime they can get on the field and they can take those game reps and get the feel for how much faster the game is than practice, what's that coverage structure, how do we need to get open, and then a lot of it is when you play these teams where with free agency, you're playing this same player we might have played in San Fran last year, we're playing this week, and so they have the bank reps of how does this guy guard this route, is he fast, is he slow, and so that helps them as well to have that memory bank of being able to use the skills they used maybe the previous year. So being on the field, they have invaluable reps of being able to take that stuff to the field.
Two more questions, please. When it comes to play action, it seems like this Bucs team doesn't use it too much in comparison to the rest of the league, the bottom 5. And I wanted to ask, what's your philosophy on using play action? Is it maybe because of some of those personnel, injuries that you've had that you haven't utilized it as much, or what's your thought process?
That we don't use it?
Yeah.
I don't know who calculates what's exactly the play action. I feel like we use a pretty good amount of play action. I just don't know how they label it.
Baker took a couple of late hits against New Orleans last year, and he has said that they are sometimes less than clean. Are you okay with your quarterback putting that out there on the bulletin board at this point?
He's going to say what he's going to say. He's going to say what he's going to say. All good. Yep.
About the Saints, when you watch them, they're a 1-6 team on their record, but they don't play like it. They're kind of a feisty bunch. What concerns you about the Saints defense when you see them on tape?
Yeah, they do not play like it at all. There's a lot of the same guys we saw last year. They've got a really veteran group. I think they're good, especially in the core of the defense. You see these DNs; these guys have been playing a long time. Both the stack linebackers, even going against Demario Davis back when I was in Miami, when he was with the Jets, he's still playing at a high level. Warner is too. Really well coached. Had some battles versus Coach Staley when he was with the Chargers. We were in Miami, so good scheme. Very similar to some of the schemes we've seen early in the season, but they pose a lot of problems, especially into a hostile environment and an in-division rival.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.